Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the EUVC Podcast. It's great to have you all tuning in. Today's conversation is very much for our community of European founders, operators, and funders, and it centers on a fascinating bridge between product reliability in software engineering, a topic that gets a lot less spotlight than it would be needed in the European venture ecosystem. I'm thrilled to introduce our two guests, of course, Pietro Bezza, managing partner at Connect Ventures, a London-based early-stage VC known for backing strong B2B software companies like Typeform and TrueLayer. And then Poone Mokari, and sorry if I got that a bit wrong, you're nodding and saying, Andreas, you did an okay job. CEO and co-founder of ewake, a Paris-based startup which has just raised 2 million euros in a pre-seed round led by Connect Ventures to launch an AI teammate for software reliability. Before we start the show, a quick note. If you're building or running a fund, you know it takes the right partners. At EUVC, we only work with sponsors we truly believe should be part of your tech stack. Please do take a moment to hear about them. And if you do, reach out, mention EUVC. It's the best way you can support what we do. Thank you so much. First up, ACE Alternatives. Every fund manager needs clean operations behind the scenes. From fund admin to tax and compliance, ACE handles it all across VC, PE, private debt, and real assets. They're trusted by some of the best investors in the world, and if you want peace of mind and a scale-ready back office, ACE should be part of your stack. Finding deals and managing your portfolio is at the heart of running a fund. Synaptic helps you discover startups before others do, and Portfolio IQ keeps your portfolio data sharp and ready for LPs. Together, they're essential tools for modern fund managers. When it comes to legal, you need a team that truly knows venture. Haynes Boone supports LPs, GPs, startups, and scale-ups across the full fund lifecycle. Smart managers make Haynes Boone part of their stack. We have two at EUVC. Tech Barbecue. Oh my God, who doesn't love barbecue? Europe's startup scene meets the loudest, friendliest family reunion ever at Tech Barbecue. From Nordic founders to global VCs, this is where ideas catch fire and relationships get real. If you're building or backing in Europe, Tech Barbecue is where you want to show up. And hey, if you've got a big fun announcement coming up, want to hit the headlines, or just want to tell your story out, do reach out to us because we'd love to help. And we've got some killer partners to help you get in the right media places. They've helped us land Bloomberg, CNBC, Financial Times, Forbes, and many more for the EUVC Summit, and we'd love to do the same for you.
This was their finest hour.
Tear down this wall.
It's more than just an alliance. This is a union of values.
Let's start acting.
This show is not investment advice, and the hosts of this episode may be invested in the funds and companies featured.
Welcome to the pod, both of you.
Thank you, Andreas.
Happy to be.
I think we should start, Poone, by having you just describe a little bit more clearly what you do, more succinctly than what I was able to in my short intro.
Yeah, of course. So hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. Yeah, actually, we are building AI agents for software production reliability. Developers and engineers are overwhelmed by the amount of data. And then when they want to just fix an issue or understand what is going on the production, they need to go through all these data, correlate all of them together to just understand what is going on, and then, okay, of course, fix it. And all that just led us to just think differently, of course, thanks to AI, to build AI agents for just improving reliability of the software production.
Pietro, you can comment a bit as the investor here. Why do you love this opportunity?
So first of all, the intros came from two highly trusted sources, and then angel investors that I have great respect for. One is famous for his taste for beautiful products design, and the other one is because he really understands observability, and he was a founder in the monitoring of observability industry. And so when they introduced me, and they came from different paths. So when, as a VC, you have two referrals, both from great people. You jump on the call right on. Like, yes, that's where we met with Poone. And so to me, it was like finally having a shot to invest in the observability space, which is probably the biggest, after cloud infrastructure, is the biggest enterprise software industry. But it's also a very hard to crack kind of software categories, right? And I thought that with Poone and her co-founder Omid vision, there was a way to wedge in That is of course, is the first part of the excitement. Which is okay. That is a space I was looking and spent time on it. So I had opinions about the observability space, and then of course is all about the founders, right? Like we invested at Connect at pre-seed most of the time, so pre-product, pre-revenues, and everything that we assess is the founders. And Poone and Omid are great archetypes and examples of the product founders we love to back at Connect.
Should dive into that a bit closer, just for everyone to understand how you think about founders. But let's stay on the space that you're in, Poone. And I would just love to ask you, like, we're all seeing AI going through everything, and the big question is, of course, then for you, how does this impact observability, and why does that maybe deliver you an awesome wedge as a new company versus the old incumbents? Could you talk a bit about that?
For years, they tried to become the data platform that just give full visibility. I would say, yeah, the full visibility is there, but then when you need it, when you need that data and that correlation, it's so hard and time consuming for developers and SREs, of course, to understand what is going on. So engineers are needed to go through all those data, which is like a huge amount of logs, metrics, code changes, and then understand what is going on and then react on that. And at the same time, because the observability that we are seeing today in the market is so, let's say, reactive, meaning that engineers in advance need to think about what they need to measure, what they need to monitor. And if they don't estimate something like that, probably an incident comes up and they don't have an alert for that. And of course, the company is just losing money every minute that they have incidents. So our mindset was building kind of operator, because of that we call it teammate, which is using the data that is already there, not adding another dashboard or another just data, and just being in hands of engineers when they need the top-notch data to just resolve an issue or even proactively understand what is going on to prevent issues.
At least for me, right, knee deep in the tech stack of a company, which means that it's something that's a bit removed from what all of us understand when we talk about AI agents all the time and hear about how it impacts consumer, and we can all understand what it will look like when companies trade with each other and those types of things. Pietro, maybe you can comment a bit on why a bit more hidden areas of tech are so interesting as an investment opportunity.
To build an observability player, it requires a lot of technology. And basically, the only space of improvement is be better at collecting the data. Throw tons of sensors and agents, not AI agents, also AI agents, into the infrastructure and start collecting the data in order to enable people like engineers and reliability engineers to have full visibility on what's going on, right? But again, there is a red ocean businesses. There are great companies out there doing great data collection and data monitoring. What was the missing part, and is the shift in paradigm that excites us, is actually now the LLMs are very good on collecting not only structured data, which is what observability tools and are doing, but also unstructured data, like your knowledge bases, what's your GitHub, conversations, and by blending this together, you create this intelligence layer on top of the data. So you're not just adding more noise, but you just extract the signals and you go straight to the root causes, which is the job that normally Poone used to do at Criteo as a reliability engineer, site reliability engineers, which is a very hard skills to have. These kind of engineers are very rare. And again, they can't work 24 hours a day. And I love this idea that Poone and me, they were basically on call and they spent a lot of nights be awake to try to fix things, because when an accident happens, basically you are losing money as we speak. And so that is a very hard and critical mission piece of infrastructure that companies has to have. And so this idea that actually LLMs and AI can improve the velocity of resolution, that's in a reactive mode. But also, and this is another great part of ewake vision, is, well, we can use this to be proactive, right? And not only give this extra intelligence to the production engineer, but we can give it to the entire engineering organization and even to the product team and the sales team and the customer support team. Because again, when the product is down, like customers are calling, partners are calling, everyone is panicking.
Poone, you've been nodding a bunch here while Pietro is talking. Maybe you want to come in and add some of your perspectives.
Yeah, I do agree that this is not a problem that because we have AI agents, you create a problem. This is a problem that it's been there over years, and everyone wants to solve incidents so faster because it's important and it talks to everyone. But then AI agents are so powerful in reasoning on top of the data that you have, because data of observability tools without any reasoning, it doesn't mean anything for the engineers. It doesn't understand the business of that company, the specific the special things of that company. For example, if it's a Black Friday in ad tech company, of course you have different production environment, and observability tools is just like for getting a lot of data, which is as Pietro said, is so complex. But if you go further, it's developers and engineers that need to understand what is signal among all those data, because a lot of it is just noise. It doesn't speak to them because it's not their language. It's not human language. It's not semantic. It's just metric and logs. And AI agents are very great in just doing and redoing and retrying to just get the best data from the huge amount of data, and then do a reasoning on top of that, because context is the most important thing when it comes to a production. Production is not just code in your laptop, it's the whole business of your company. When we talk about it, it's where your product is facing the users, and it, of course, it talks with everyone, with CTO, with CFO, with customer support. And then it's only developers' job to just understand what is going on, which is, as I said, it's so overwhelming now because they have a lot of noise among all those data as well.
We're all using ChatGPT and these tools, and what I'm finding is that it baffles me how I can still have problems with reliability in terms of it not making stuff up and so on. How do you, and it pulls the right things, and it doesn't pull, if I run the same thing twice on the same data set, it doesn't come up with two different things. How do you protect against that? Where are we in that? Because at least as someone using the more, should we call them generic AI tools, it feels like we're still quite a far away from being able to fully trust.
It's important that when we are talking about AI agents, it's kind of different with GPT. We are not training any model with AI agents. When we talk about ChatGPT or any kind of those generative models, they are trained on a huge amount of data. So in two different iterations, they can come up with two different answers. But when we talk about AI agents, which are specifically used with one intention, for example, understanding what is going on, and after this incident, you have the time frame and the data is limited. So agent tries to understand from that data to what is going on. So it's not a huge, like unlimited amount of data that is trained on. It's a amount of data that it gets as a context of that a specific incident in that within that time frame, which means that probably you don't have different answers. You might have different language or tone, but you don't have different answers because your context is same if you just look at that incident. And the other thing is, of course, hallucination, which is always like a question when it comes to AI. But with AI agents, you can just put the guardrails. What we tried a lot to build is like just saying, I don't know, as an AI agent, because you are a teammate as well. So you can say, I didn't find enough context to give you reasoning, which is kind of scoring. And if it is more than, I don't know, 70% sure, you just share that answer. If not, you won't share it. But there are many ways to just tackle this problem as well. And it is kind of different with how we use ChatGPT in day to day.
So now the audience has gotten to know you a little bit, Poone, and I have as well. And obviously, one thing that you have is incredible subject matter expertise, and you've been experiencing the problem that you're solving as well. And I would then go to you, Pietro, to dive a bit deeper on what you said in the beginning, which is why you got excited about Poone and her co-founder as a team to build this, and maybe also expand a bit on the investment thesis of Connect, which is, of course, that you're very product oriented, given that you're pre-seed, that you're also finding conviction in founders even before there's a product.
Yeah, so I like that you use the word thesis, because we are one of the few thesis-driven firm, and it's something that we have honed over time. But fundamentally, our investment thesis has been worded and declined in different shades. But fundamentally, the underlying belief is that the best technology companies are product companies. And the reason is because product is the highest and best lever for winning big in venture. Like a product that the customer love fundamentally is your bigger engine for growth and for value creation. And company that and founders that put the product at the center of their strategy and execution are very different beasts than companies that are marketing-led, technology-led, or sales-led. And the reason why is that it's something that we learned over the years is that great products, they don't grow on trees like apples or oranges, right? So you don't build great products and great product experiences because you want, but it's because you create and foster and design the condition for great products to be built. And these conditions are several, and it starts, of course, with the mindset of the founders. And we know that founders that are not compromising on winning through great products experiences are very singular. They have like very common traits that we have selected and identifies over the years. So if you pick Connect, it's because we align on the value of product as a core business strategy. And when it's come to Ewake and Poone, like I think they embodies these two great traits that for us necessary for building great product companies. One is they are very opinionated about the problems. So when we invest, there's no product. So it's very hard to assess and opinionate the products, but there is always available the insights and how the founders thinks about the problem. In the past, I always spoke about new category myself, but eventually new categories are unsolved problems. And so when you find Poone, they have insider's view into the observability world and how observability software was working, but also they have an outsider point of view on how to solve it. And so they are a classic example of a founding team that like a singular insights on a problem. Now there is a new solution that was not possible before to solve these problems at a better way. Right? So for years, the way to cope with preventing incident was like collecting trillions and petabytes of data to be able to then basically retrofit and reverse engineering where the problem is. But it can take 2 or 3 days, right? And when I said like mission-led product founders like Poone, then they say, okay, what there must be a better way to do it. And then the LLMs and the generative AI was there to offer them a better way to solve the problem.
Pietro, I want to ask you one question before I go to Poone, and that is just you're product-centric. And there's also a concept called product-led growth, which when you say that you're product-focused and product this and product that, you do not mention product-led growth specifically. And maybe just you'd expand on that, because
Yes.
it is a specific.
Yes, Andreas,
Those are two different things.
Thanks for asking me, because this product-led it creates confusion. So now we talk about product companies or product first, because product-led, people then automatically confuse with product-led growth. Like are very different things. Product-led growth is how you grow your business, and having a great product is very efficient, right? Sometimes is it not enough? Like you also have to have marketing, you also have to do content, you also have to do sales, you have to do a lot of things that you have to do. Of course, if your customer can find the product in an organic way or in a viral way, and then use the product without hours of demo and top down, that helps a lot. But product-led company and product-led founders that we call product first to avoid the confusion is a way higher abstraction. It's basically how do you think about the business? And it's not just about strategy. It's just like, where do you spend the money? We believe that always, and of course at the early stage, it's pre-seed, seed, series A, because you are building the product. But even when you are way at scale up, you always have to focus and allocate most of your capital in product development. And in those companies that we saw in direct experience that didn't manage to go beyond 50 million or 100 million in revenues, is because they failed to build product too at some point, right? So the problem is always there. Is never solved perfectly. So the great product founders, the best product companies, they always find a better way, a new way to solve the problem better. And then you basically go through a cycle of innovation, and you keep building product one, product two, you expand to adjacent problems. That's where you create multi-billion dominant product companies. And for my job is retrofit all this thinking at day zero. And again, when you talk to Poone, like you see, they don't talk about, oh, we need to market and positioning, how to bring this to market. Right? It's like, look, we know there is a problem. We will tinkering the technology that is very novel to find a solution. And if tomorrow come out better models, great. They will help the company, right? Even to be better at what they're doing. Hopefully, I clarify the two differences between product-led growth and product companies and product founders mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Because product-led growth is a very specific go-to-market approach. It's not to be confused with that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Poone, now I'd love to ask you, you've managed to pull together what many founders out there would love to do, which is a 2 million pre-seed round before you have a product. Could you talk a bit about and there's eons and thousands of advisors out there that claim they have the strategy and it's all about engineering, FOMO, and I don't know what. So maybe you can talk a bit about what you think were the most important ingredients in being able to do that.
I think it's a big success to convince investors before having the product. I would say the first and the most important is finding those that are believing in you and your mindset. I mean, it's not easy, but the most important thing is that they are hands-on, they are ready to help. And what really attracts me from Connect was, first of all, they were super fast. That is what I really like. But the second thing was they choose few over year. And of course, if you talk with a VC, they tell you that we invest in, 200 companies in a year. It doesn't mean that they are bad VC or there is no good and bad, but just means that it doesn't fit my thesis as a pre-seed company to get help from a VC. And I think from my point of view, what is important is if you are solving a problem, you know why this problem exists and where it exists. So I think one of the privilege that we had was, as Pietro said, when we talk about the problem that we are solving, it's so natural for us because we lived it. We lived it over years. We had the privilege again to work in one of the biggest ad tech companies in the world, Criteo, where reliability is everything. And when you know the problem on that level, you can convince everyone. You can convince the first employees, you can convince investors. We even knew from first that where we want to get these insights, which is kind of interesting. We were like, maybe in the future it changes, but we were like, oh, we are always doing a lot of things on Slack as an engineer. And if I want to have a teammate, it shouldn't be just opening another tab because I'm already overwhelmed with opening many tabs at the same time. So I want to have it somewhere that I am talking with my other colleagues during incidents or whatever. I want to say it was so overwhelming for me, the problem, and it was so painful as an engineer that I was sure that if I don't solve it, there are other people that will solve it. So it should be me that I want to solve it because why not? Because if it's me that on New Year's Eve at 3 a.m. I got called and I just didn't know what to do, I need something that just helped me as an engineer to decide. And AI is built for that. It's built to empower a human to decide faster. What use case exactly AI fits very well is where you have a lot of data, a lot of context, and you want to decide faster. And this was like, okay, this should get fixed with AI or AI agents. The technology can be different, but AI is there to just understand huge amount of context and then just empower human to decide faster and understand better what is going on.
And here's a stellar example of the product-focused founder that is asked about how you raced around and end up talking about the problem and the product.
She touched on another great point that is for us is a great sign of those kind of like problem mindset that I was talking about. And it's not about being opinionated about the problem, but also obsessed about the user experience, because they were the users of the observability tools. You can see the thinking of like, okay, how does that should work? It should be another tab or should be into the Slack? It should be another data or should be more. And For me, as an investor, like I really, really value these two things. YC, 2 or 3, 4 similar company that out of YC, one entrepreneur first. And eventually, like when you go and see the DNA of these founders, right? And there are people coming from fintech. There are people coming from consultancy. There are people that were excellent repeat entrepreneurs. And so it depends what is your lens on as an investor. Like we always prefer backing people with insights. They understand the user, they have empathy for the user, and they're like overly technical and can take on the technology out of the product rather than on the execution. And it's very different investment style. And so, yes, Poone is her first rodeo as a founder. She's a first-time founder. And so, yes, we overweight insights and product mindset and what we call founder market fit over execution.
Maybe you could just dive a little bit deeper on that. And I know that may be asking you to restate some of what you said in the beginning, Pietro, but I think that many would posit that if you had two teams working on the same thing, one come with Poone's background and one come with a serial entrepreneur background, the VCs will go for the latter. So talk about the like what makes you feel comfortable and why are you ready to discount the serial entrepreneur's experience in scaling and so on, versus why do you say that the insights into the market is so important? It's so like, this is where you're betting. And maybe that also gives you a natural way to sell Connect's value add as an investor, because I'm sure that's also part of it.
we think that everything starts with the product. So kind of like the execution, the company building and the go-to-market comes after. You can't start from them. You need to start with building something the customer wanted. Again, if you break it down and unpack, it's all about what are the founder's vision, what do they know about the problem, what are their opinion to build the product, right? These are things you can't outsource, you can't buy. Actually, when you have product market fit, then you can go and buy execution. You can buy, people that already done that, senior engineer, senior go-to-marketer, and you can grow as a founder's team into that, right? So you start with a hypothesis and you build a product, and then you build a company, you scale. But these are competencies that come after, right? We at Pre-Seed Seed, we can't compromise on product vision, right? Because that's where everything starts. That doesn't mean that having experience as a founder is a negative. It is a positive. Sometimes, not always a positive, because there are also some biases, negative biases that repeat founders have, right?
Yeah, they've done a market motion, go-to-market motion before that. They then are
They saw how hard it is to build distribution. They go all around on the other side of the spectrum, and there is this, first-time founders obsessed about product, repeat founders obsessed about distribution, right? Which is true as long as they also don't stop obsessing about product, right? Because again, we always come back to that. There's a lot of examples of founders that actually we have picked in a very crowded space just because of their opinion.
Poone, and I want to go somewhere completely else, which is to Paris. You are building out of Paris. Paris, of course, has an incredibly strong AI ecosystem. It's also notoriously one of the harder places to hire and maybe especially fire. And we just saw the chart parade around Europe with the cost of hiring in France. Could you talk a bit about deciding to build out of France and not, as an example, moving to the UK or somewhere else?
I saw this kind of revolution in tech ecosystem of France, especially, of course, in Paris, about AI when Mistral just arrived and now it's just exploding. You need talent. Talents are the most important asset always, but nowadays it's even more important to find those talents that have like great mindset with you. And then now I'm seeing that even there are more people coming to Paris from the other countries. So I think that is the first reason that if you want to hire people, here you have a lot of talents. On the other hand, for me, it was important. My background as an engineer was getting shaped in France. And so I said, okay, if I am seeing here that the problem is here, I start here, but the problem that we are attacking is a global problem. So we need talent. Talent is here. So we build a product here, but then after that, of course, the GTM is everywhere. So when your problem is global, it doesn't matter when you are building it. What is matter most, I would say, is being super close to your users. Talking with them and building this mindset in your engineering team that everyone should be so obsessed about the product, which I think is not very difficult when you are building DevTool, but it needs courage to build this mindset. That is the main reason that we build in France. But then from the first day, we had very international mindset. So now we are four different nationalities. We have VCs from 2 countries. Our clients are not in France, they are everywhere. And that is the thing that you need when you are building DevTool, because developers everywhere are having kind of same problem and they are not far from each other. And Aikido, again, is a great example, building in Belgium for a global problem. France is another great hub for being famous for its talents, which I think is the most important thing now in an AI era.
Pietro, I'd love to invite you to come in as the VC here investing across Europe and deciding to back teams also across Europe. Could you talk a bit about maybe some of the true parts around the complexity of building in whatever ecosystem you might think of in Europe, but also maybe dispel some of the myths about, well, you have to be in London to build or you have to go to the Valley to build?
That's definitely, it requires a couple of podcasts dedicated to that.
Yes, well, we have done a couple of podcasts that that do touch on it.
We're happy to dive in another session. But look, the mantra for us is like, great founders are anywhere, and great companies can be built out of anywhere. It's a statement, it's a fact. Like, we have examples of a global successful company that were born out of like very remote ecosystem in Europe. My second investment has been Typeform, based in Barcelona and founded by 2 designers. And I remember back in the days, if your lens and your paradigm, like, enterprise software should be led by business people and you should be in the valley, that you don't understand, right? Well, actually, there was like actually a product-led company with the product-led growth. And so they could, they built 100 millions beyond the revenues, fundamentally without sales team, right? Because that's what the internet allow, right? There's no limit to distribution. Of course, different is if you are building in some more regulated industry and you have to sell to like top down to enterprises. Then when I think proximity, geographical proximity and cultural proximity helps, right? So at some point you need to stay close to your customers for several reasons. But that to me is stage 2 of the company, right? Like, launch a product and find product market fit, you can do everywhere. There's been a lot of successful dual company where you keep your R&D and your developers enter in Europe, where there's abundance of team, abundance of talents. Competition is high, but it's not insane. You need to apply different playbooks based on which kind of companies are you doing. If you do consumer, if you do fintech, if you do B2B, SMB, or actually large enterprise deal, there are different playbooks, but absolutely is there's no limits out there. And on the positive spin, there are actually type of company, type of technology, and type of playbooks that will actually be in Europe is a massive advantage, right? So when it's come to, for example, industrial software / software for robotics / software for critical industries, when your customer are not developer tools or a software enterprise company, but your customers are like manufacturers, big suppliers and big logistics players, we in Europe, we know how to do it.
Poone, we started out talking about the fact that Connect invests pre-product and everything, but you've been around a little while at least, and you've just come out of stealth. So maybe you could talk a bit about where you are today and what's up next for you, just so that everyone understands that you're not entirely pre-product anymore.
Yeah. So this fundraising was mostly focused on, again, product. So we hired the first builders. And then we are very focused now on design partnership, because I would say with AI agents, you need to keep human in the loop for a long time, and you need to maximize the engagement and the feedback. A real success for a company like ewake is they trust ewake during critical moments, for example, like incidents. That is a real success for an AI agent, because you can build AI agents in many different ways for many different use cases, but building it for critical moments is one of the hardest one, which means that we really believe in design partnership, that your clients, specifically early ones, should be your design partners, which is the case now. And we are closely working with them to understand exactly where AI agent can bring value in which workflow, because if you are building a teammate, you are getting like partially part of the job that the engineers they don't like, and you need to understand where it is exactly, where it fits. And as Pietro said in one of the articles that he wrote, the AI is the new UX kind of. So you need to understand exactly from getting the feedback from users as the user journey, how to fit it again to your algorithm. It's not anymore the UX of the product, it's the whole product that you are building. It needs the feedback of the users. At the same time, when you are building dev tools, you are dealing with the most intelligent, the smartest people in the world, that they are so opinionated about what you are building, engineers. And so it's very cool to be very close to them, understanding what they think about it, and if if they wanted to build this product, how they built it. I mean, it's so insightful, and everyone in our company is so obsessed with the feedback, with the users, with the product. And we use ewake at first for ewake, so we see how internally our developers are relating with the answer that ewake is bringing up. And if it has the standard that they like it as developers, then we say, okay, this feature works to add, or this workflow works to add. But we are at that stage now, very closely working with the users and with the design partners to understand where exactly it fits, to bring a real value, which is sustainable value, not just adding AI for the matter of adding AI, which is very important, I would say. So the product is getting built, but also it is important the fact that building this kind of product, which is working with different types of data and structured, unstructured, is kind of difficult, specifically because our AI agents are using the tools that are built for human, not for AI agents. All the tools that we are getting data from are built for human, and now we need to change the game and kind of use this data as an operator on top of those data tools. But being very focused on the users, I think, is the most important step in building a great product, and that we are there now.
What an amazing time to be alive. Pietro, I gotta let you just give one final remark, even though we're up on time.
It's very exciting, right? This journey with the way for us. And there's a new technology at the frontier where everyone is learning about. We don't know how much this technology is delivering or will be delivering. We believe that Poone and Reed are the right kind of founders to navigate this new paradigm, right? Again, applying this generative AI on top of this giant amount of data to help the engineering understand what's going on, prevent, and tomorrow, I guess, even fix automatically some of the things that are broken in production is very fascinating. And so we're very excited to build this with the wake.
Poone, thank you so much for joining us and for building what you're building. I think it's so important that we have people like you that opt for building a huge company instead of just joining one. You definitely can, as someone who knows about AI. Pietro, thank you for building Connect and championing all the important work about product-led founders, because I don't think that it's something that most people in Europe do. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, no, welcome.
Thank you, Andreas.
Before we start the show, a quick note. If you're building or running a fund, you know it takes the right partners. At EUVC, we only work with sponsors we truly believe should be part of your tech stack. Please do take a moment to hear about them. And if you do, reach out, mention EUVC. It's the best way you can support what we do. Thank you so much. First up, Ace Alternatives. Every fund manager needs clean operations behind the scenes. From fund admin to tax and compliance, Ace handles it all across VC, PE, private debt, and real assets. They're trusted by some of the best investors in the world, and if you want peace of mind and a scale-ready back office, Ace should be part of your stack. Finding deals and managing your portfolio is at the heart of running a fund. Synaptic helps you discover startups before others do, and Portfolio IQ keeps your portfolio data sharp and ready for LPs. Together, they're essential tools for modern fund managers. When it comes to legal, you need a team that truly knows venture. Haynes Boone supports LPs, GPs, startups, and scale-ups across the full fund lifecycle. Smart managers make Haynes Boone part of their stack. We have two at EUVC. Tech Barbecue. Oh my God, who doesn't love barbecue? Europe's startup scene meets the loudest, friendliest family reunion ever at Tech Barbecue. From Nordic founders to global VCs, this is where ideas catch fire and relationships get real. If you're building or backing in Europe, Tech Barbecue is where you want to show up. And hey, if you've got a big fun announcement coming up, want to hit the headlines, or just want to tell your story out, do reach out to us because we'd love to help. And we've got some killer partners to help you get in the right media places. They've helped us land Bloomberg, CNBC, Financial Times, Forbes, and many more for the EUVC Summit, and we'd love to do the same for you.
This was their finest hour.
Tear down this wall.
It's more than just an alliance. This is a union of values.
Let's start acting.